So you're thinking of buying new construction in Minnesota, but you're not quite sure if you're ready to pull the trigger yet. In this video, we're going to be going over the pros and cons of buying new construction in Minnesota. My name is Thunder Hire. I'm a local realtor here in Minnesota. If you're looking to buy or sell in Minnesota within the next year, you can shoot me a call, text, email. We'd just love to help make that process as smooth as possible for you. So with that being said, let's get into the pros of buying new construction in Minnesota. Pro number one, with new construction, you're going to get a more open concept generally. This helps make the house feel bigger than a property that was built, 20 years ago. It might have the same square footage, but it can still feel bigger based on the floor plan. This is something that a lot of people are becoming more interested in, especially with the open floor concept where living room, kitchen are kind of combined. You're not really going to get that open floor concept in an older home. It's going to feel more boxy. A living room is going to be strictly the living room. You're not going to be able to chat with someone in the kitchen. They're probably going to be blocked off by a different wall. Next up, pro number two. For new construction, you're not going to be dealing with as much maintenance. So the next pro is less maintenance overall when you buy new construction compared to if you bought something that was built, 5, 10, 20 years ago. You're going to be dealing with more and more maintenance as time goes on with those type of properties. And you don't really know what is going to pop up. That's usually what scares most people, is that when they buy a house, yes, you get your inspection, you get that report back, but you still don't know. Stuff can come up at random times that you kind of have to be prepared for. So with that being said, with new construction, you're not really dealing with maintenance. And if you do, there's going to be home warranties on the property for the first year, 2 years, up to 10 years, depending on what type of issue might pop up. So you're protected in that aspect. That brings me to my next pro, and that'll be pro number 3, home warranties. So with home warranties, like I said, you're going to have 1, 2 years, up to 10 years for warranties. So 1 year warranty is going to be for any sort of cosmetic issue that could pop up. That could be the drywall, the paint, the siding, anything that's sort of smaller type of issues like that. So for the 2 year warranty, that's covering HVAC, furnace, plumbing, electrical, those type of items that, if something did go wrong, you're not going to be out of pocket as much on those bigger ticket items. So you can sleep well at night knowing that you're protected for those first 2 years. And lastly, you have the 10-year warranty. That's going to be covering any structural issues. So that could be the foundation, or maybe a roof problem. So having that stuff protected for 10 years, it's a big bonus because you never know what could happen, obviously, but in most cases, I would say 90% of the time, you're gonna have no issues with that type of stuff. It's more so for freak accidents that you still have that protection for. And that leads me to pro number 4 for buying new construction in Minnesota. This is going to be the ability to customize. So with customization, if you're building from the ground up, let's say, if you're buying land and then you're finding a builder that can build your dream house that you want, this is going to provide you the ability to have all of the customization available to you, which can be a huge pro. You can pick your floor plan, all the amenities, your cabinets, your countertops. The list goes on. So you can have that customization and really be hands-on as far as knowing what you're going to get with your new construction. And lastly, for my pros, you're going to have pro number 5, which is going to be builder incentives. This is going to be huge for anybody that's buying new construction, especially right now in Minnesota. As we kind of head into the fall, the summer season's over. There's new construction that's sitting on the market, and there's not a ton of competition trying to buy up those properties. So with that being said, you're going to have builders that are sitting on properties right now, holding them, looking to get rid of them, which leads them to offering these massive incentives that could be a seller concession for closing costs, or it could be buying down your interest rate. And that could be a huge pro because with interest rates where they're at, you could be knocking off a couple $100 a month as far as monthly payment goes with where they're buying the interest rate down to. You can get those seller concessions and rate buy downs right now, as opposed to maybe the spring market where there's a lot more buyers and there's more competition. If there's more competition, a builder's they're not gonna be willing to, or as willing to give you those incentives if they know there's a bigger buyer pool and there might be more people that actually want the house. So with that being said, now we're on to the cons of buying new construction. Yes, there are cons to buying new construction. Con number one for buying new construction in Minnesota is, depending on your area, in most cases if you buy new construction that's already built, it's a spec home, just ready to be moved into, it's usually going to be on a smaller lot. So usually like a quarter acre in most cases where it's in a new development. So you're not going to have a ton of acreage or land that you can really use like for your backyard. You're usually going to be stacked like right next to each other with your neighbors. So if you're cool with that and you really want the high quality build, that's probably just going to be something you'll have to deal with. But it is a con as far as not being able to have as big of a backyard or just front yard in general. That leads me to con number two. For con number two, this is going to be the timeline. So if you're buying land and then you're building on it, this is going to increase your timeline outlook. So it's going to be anywhere from, on the very, very short end, it's going to be 6 months to all the way up to maybe past 12 months for a new build. So obviously a big timeline where if you're buying a home that's already built, you can move into it right away. There's going to be spec homes that are already built by builders that are new construction, but let's say that you're trying to build something customized that is your own, that timeline is going to be up to a year out. So if you're cool with waiting for 12 months to move into your new property, then totally worth it by all means, but not a ton of people have that type of patience. That leads me into con number three, which is interest rate variability. So if you're doing a long-term build, you're not going to be locked into your interest rate probably until, it could vary between 6 months all the way up to maybe 30 days until you close. So there's a long time between when your interest rate can actually get locked in. And if you're kind of riding the market's been really volatile over the last even just 2 years, which is pretty crazy. So it can be kind of a gamble waiting to lock your rate. I know of plenty of examples over the last year where there's been people that start building their new home and then 9 months later when they're ready to close, their interest rate has doubled since when they started the build, just because of the way interest rates have gone. And so by that point, their monthly payment has gone up significantly and might even actually have taken them out of being able to be approved for that loan. So it's definitely a process that takes on some risk. It just kind of depends on what certain scenario you get in with your builder or your lender. And now for con number four, this can be, in general, higher prices for new construction. Obviously, if you're buying new construction, this means it's going to be a higher quality product and it's going to be brand new. So the price of buying brand new is going to be higher than what you could buy that's been built for the last 20 years. And finally, for con number five, for me, it's flexibility with lenders. So if you're buying new construction, in general, the builder is going to have their preferred lender that they either own or it's someone that they trust, and they want to push any sort of buyer that they get, they want to push them to their preferred lender. And in order to make that happen, what they do is they'll offer incentives where you only get that specific incentive if you use their specific lender, their preferred lender, or their partner. With that being said, there's not going to be a ton of flexibility with negotiating or with using, let's say you have your own loan officer or lender that you're comfortable with, like, and trust. You won't be able to use your own lender if you want to get that seller concession or that rate buy down, because the builder is only offering that if you use their preferred partner. So in my mind, not having that flexibility to use someone that like, and trust, that's going to be a con for me. So with that being said, I hope you found this video valuable. If you're thinking of buying new construction in Minnesota, don't be afraid to call, text, email me. I'd be happy to make that process as smooth as possible for you. If you have any suggestions on future videos, like a home tour in a specific city or other topics that you're interested in, don't be afraid to comment those in the comment section, and I'll see you guys on the next one.